Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Private Nargis Fatima. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students from the following school. From South Australia, Trinity College, Gawler River Campus, Anglevale. If able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private George Edgar Krafft, who was killed during the Second World War. George Krafft was born on the 28th of January 1921 in Bondi, Queensland. To Frederick and Anne Krafft, he had two older brothers, Roy and Neil, and three sisters. Krafft attended Running Creek Primary School and afterwards went to work on the family farm Lone Pine at the Glen Echo. He was a keen horseman, was fond of leather work, and apparently loved to yodel. George Krafft and his brother Roy joined the militia together in March 1941, and they served as troopers in the 5th Light Horse Regiment and 5th Australian Motor Regiment. On the 11th of July 1942, when George was 21 and Roy was 23, they enlisted together in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force. Roy was posted to the 2nd/5th Field Ambulance, while George joined the 2nd/12th Battalion. On the 17th of August 1942, Krafft and his brother embarked for overseas service aboard the Katoomba, arriving at Port Moresby 3 years later. The battalion took part in counterattacks against Japanese invasion forts at Malin Bay during August and September. Then the capture of Goodenough Island the following month. From December to January 1943, the 2/12 was drawn into bitter fight for Puna and Senananda on Puna's north coast. After several months, recuperation back in Australia, the 2nd 12th Battalion returned to the front in August, participating in the grueling advance through the Ramu and Markham Valley, then into the Finisterre Ranges. Accumulation in the Battle of Shaggy Ridge in January 1944. Krafft was hospitalized briefly in February 1944 and in May joined his unit as they sailed back to Australia. He spent most of years in and out of hospital with malaria, and it wasn't until December that he rejoined his battalion in training. In June 1945, he sailed back with the 2nd/12th to Morotai in the Netherlands East Indies. On the 1st of July 1945, the 2nd/12th Battalion landed in Balikpapan on the Borneo and captured its objective with relatively light casualties. One of those casualties, however, was Private George Krafft, who suffered gunshot wounds to his shoulder and jaw. He died of his wounds later that day. He was 24 years old. George Krafft remained interred at the Labuan War Cemetery in Malaysia under the Inception, asleep at rest forevermore. Roy Krafft also served on Morotai and Borneo and survived the war. Private George Edgar Krafft's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifices told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private George Edgar Krafft, who died for us, for our freedom, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age should not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of sun and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you a very good evening. Thank you.